did this actually happen, or was this all staged, or are we watching CGI? Because of course we know it could have been CGI too. So if anybody saw that visually from a car crossing the bridge or somewhere in New York, please let us know. Did you get footage from some other angle? There's lots of angles people got footage from. Okay, but all of those could be planted. All of those, you know what I'm saying? Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got... So there's no death cards. There's not even any kind of really intense cards here. That would mean no. So nobody got hurt. This was a creative venture. And they had some intention or some kind of message. There's some kind of message they're trying to make. They're trying to make a comment or a message, okay, with it. So it's a calm. Nobody got hurt according to my cards here, but I think the thing could have actually happened. Okay, it could have actually happened, but I don't get anyone was killed or hurt. Now we've got the Three of Wands, so they must have acted this out. I wonder if some of those people standing up on the top ones that got what appears to be knocked over, I wonder if, or maybe all of them, that was all fake. Like, was that just fake people? Was that dummies all standing up there? Was that paper mache people? Does anyone have a good shot of that? Anyway, a close-up shot. But here we've got the Three of Wands here and the Six. So there's nobody hurt. This was a creative venture. And we've got, and it achieved its purpose. Okay, there was a desired outcome and they achieved it. I have no idea what that would be, but let's see. Well, let's pull two more. So we've got the Devil and the Two. Okay, so that's going to be, we're going to know more about this later. Okay, this somehow ties into the war, somehow ties into the cult, or has some kind of message for the cult, for the deep state. Okay, and I don't even think the message that was put out by this thing, this sort of parade, I feel like it was a parade. I feel like it was a charade and a parade. Okay, it was not really for us. It wasn't for normies or truthers. It was actually for the deep state. And it was something, it ends something, stops something, or says you're stopped, or we've stopped you, or stop doing something, or yeah, you've been stopped. You've been stopped. That's more how it feels. You've been stopped. So I feel like this was more a message in the war, and it was not for us. It was for the bad guys. Wow, and weird. Okay. So I knew there was something weird about that. Starmer. So, man, I can never say this guy's Keir Starmer. I mean, like, he's so, there's something so not good about that person. Now, I believe this is likely an actor. Okay, so they've been working on outing this guy as an obviously not, so he presents as a family man, and this happens a lot. Almost all these big players on the political stage, they've been outing them as gay. Okay, have you noticed that? And I don't think it's because White Hat Alliance has any issues with gay people. I really don't. I certainly don't have issues with people that are out gay and just doing their thing. Right? If they want to have a gay relationship, not my problem, and not my, I don't, it's all good with me. Apparently, and according to a psychic reading I had, I was a gay man in a past life, which somehow makes sense to me. Okay. But the problem here's where the problem lies, is these people are parading as married men with heterosexual relationships. They pretend they have children in them. They pretend, and a whole bunch of it's a lie. Often their wives are actually transgendered from an early age. And often even they aren't actually men. Some of these world leaders were women at birth and they got transgendered. That's suspiciously possible for Trudeau, for instance. Anyway, so there's a bunch of weird things around what they've been doing with this Starmer fellow. So he's the PM in the UK. I think they're taking him down. Okay, so they've been taking down the French guy, Macron, for a really long time, with all kinds of stories about really what his really twisted, gross life's really like he's literally married to very likely his own father. Okay, and he was MK altered from an early age and is absolutely like a broken, like from one of those horrifying satanic ritual abuse families, obviously. And then his own father, just to further torture him, parades around as a woman and actually marries him in the public eye. So it's just hideous when you think about all of that. That's horrifying. Okay, that's what these guys are up to. This is the kind of life they've put their children in, this kind of life. And I'm not even feeling sorry for this guy here, Macron, because he's been doing and he seems to be complying. At some point you're complying when you just keep it all up, right? But anyway, so this horrifying thing, but this Starmer fellow, they've been outing him. First they had that picture leak with him necking with some other guy in the cabinet, I believe, in the UK cabinet, and outed him as obviously a gay man. His wife stomped out on him when that came out. Okay. And then this story comes out, and there's been other ones in between too, but then this one comes out. So this is like a boy toy. So a young man who gets passed around, and even there's a nod to me to human sex trafficking. Right, this guy's probably been trafficked since a young person. That would probably be the backstory. I don't know that to be true, but I'm just guessing. Right, so people like this, they get trafficked. He got literally trafficked, apparently from the Ukraine guy. So the guy that runs the Ukraine, that absolutely obvious actor. That guy that just wears khaki sweats, okay, to everything. Anyway, and this guy got passed down to him. That's the backstory. And now it's his boy toy. Okay. So then the guy goes and torches Starmer's property. Okay. So they're obviously making a really big splash. It gets in the paper. They can't keep it out of the paper. And they need to, they're basically outing him as, okay, so he's got boy toys. He's got lovers on the cabinet that are men. But I don't think it's because they're, wanting to out them as gay. I don't think that's the point. It's part of the point. But the big real point is they're not who you think they are. They parade around one way and they get elected because they appear a certain way. Okay, like they're a family man, blah, blah, blah. And then nothing about their life is true. And possibly even the way they present sexually is not true. Okay, so these people are liars right from the get-go. Okay, and it goes even further when you look at somebody like Obama, but we'll get to him later, where every single thing you thought you knew about him, but this could be true for all of these leaders. Everything you think you know about these world leaders could be complete lies. Okay, everything's made up about them. Okay, and Starmer, he's absolutely being outed, it looks like. So let's see if I'm right about that. Is that what they're doing? Are they taking him down with this? Because it seems like they've really upped the heat on these guys. Okay, all of these guys, all of these gay leaders pretending to be married and pretending to be heterosexuals. I feel like they've really put their feet to the heat, as it were. And he's like, looks like he's going to be taken down with it, but let's see if I'm right about that. So we've got the 5 and the 3, or at least it's a wake-up call for people like, who are you electing here? Who are you tolerating to run your country? Because a lot of the things that these people are pushing through are absolutely not what the rest of the country wants, okay? And then when you look at their lives, they're not living anything true about how they present. Okay, so it's really obvious to me that the White Hat Alliance is trying to out these guys for the fakes that they are. just getting people to look into these people. You know what I'm saying? So we've got the 5 here. They're certainly getting you to look at something. So they're trying to get you to look at it, trying to get people to, are you okay with this? Are you okay with this guy running your country? Are you okay? So he lied about who he was as a person. He lies about his life. Okay. Yeah. It's just an outing. Okay. Now that's interesting. That's really interesting. The Empress is around it. The Empress. And then we've got the Devil and the Empress. So a real diminishing of the feminine. Like none of these guys are, even if they're married, often their wives are not women. Okay. So the deep state, like I think it gets really twisted where they don't want anything to do with the feminine. Okay, so the feminine is being snuffed out. Okay, and think about it. Even when they put through those, when they allow men to compete as women, so they allow these guys to parade around as women and then compete in women's sports, use women's bathrooms. And so there's like, it doesn't seem to go the other way. Have you noticed? It's all about the women are being disrespected, displaced, and completely made, obsolete, basically. So they're creating babies outside actual women's wombs or using surrogates and placing children into these people's families. They turn around, satanically ritual abuse the kid. Like, it's just disgusting what they're doing and what their lifestyles are like. And that's how big that card is to me. And it has a lot to do with the deep state. So the Khazarian mafia, the cults version of or vision of or what they want to do with the feminine, which is stomp it right out. They don't want anything to do with it. So don't forget that deep state, dark cult, they run all the fashion industries. They run Hollywood. So your big actresses, this ties so much into it. The big actresses like world famous beauties, okay, have been many of them on Time magazine and whatever, World's Most Beautiful Women. Julia Roberts, a guy was born a man. Okay, so it's like laughing in your face. It's like, I feel like they hate the sacred so much. And I feel like sacred universal energy has a deep feminine creative vibration to it. And they're trying to snuff that out. Yeah. Anyway, that's my personal theory. And it kind of looks like I might be onto something here. Yeah. So it's even bigger than they're just trying to out him as a gay man and not presenting honestly. It's way bigger than that. They're trying to get people to look into who are these people you got in power? And they've all been groomed for the placement, and none of them are real. And they present one way and they're nothing like that. Wow. Okay. Now I want to ask another question around that. Is this going to be what takes this guy down, or is it just a building? Are we building towards what ends up taking him? Because it feels like this weekend, huge steps towards taking down the deep state were made. Okay. And we're going to get to that in a minute here. But I feel like when I did that day by day, I feel like it was getting hotter and hotter with things being dropped, truths being dropped. And I think that really did all happen. But let's have a look. Is this going to take out this Starmer fake? Like, who knows what he really is, right? Okay, so he's already been tribunaled, guys. He's already been he's faced justice already. I don't even think this guy's alive anymore, the real guy, just so you know. And I think that's been happening to a lot of these people. Okay, but they're absolutely trying to wake up the general population. They're absolutely doing that. And some things, I don't think they're going to. I think this is just a building. And they're going to get back to, after something really big happens and takes everybody's attention over somewhere else, this is going to be where they go back and say, go look at that story. Remember that, how he was outed this way, they're going to tie all of these loose ends together. This isn't literally going to be the thing that takes them down. Okay. This isn't literally going to be, but it's one of the building things that they're going to get you to look back on. Okay, so it's going to fill in some of this backstory for people once something totally different takes everybody onto the same page, which I've been getting for a long time. So some kind of an event or change in the world happens and everybody gets on page, it looks like, whether they like it or not. Even the normies, they'll all have to be looking in the same direction. But yeah, Starmer, he doesn't literally get taken down by those stories. These are just building things that they're going to use later. Okay, let's have a look at Trump's tweet. So that kind of leads us into Trump did some crazy on Truth Social. For instance, this one. All roads lead to Obama. Read Truth if you want public military tribunals. Like, I can't remember him ever writing those words before. If anybody can remember a time when he publicly put that out for reals and not just on his joke. He's got that ill Donaldo Trumpo, that X channel, right? That one tells a lot of truths, but I've never seen it on his actual legit Truth Social that he ever said the words tribunal, military tribunal. Okay, so are we getting close to that? Like with this, he also outed Hillary. So this weekend, he puts this out, which is absolutely jaw-dropping. Then he outed Hillary as very potentially. So he circulated some video that's been out there. And it leads you to understand that Hillary was obviously in charge of JFK Jr.'s death, right? So I don't know if we've got that one to show you here, but we've got several others. But I've tweeted mine. I tweeted the version of what he put out on Truth Social about that. And I also put it up on X. So have a look. But we couldn't find it this morning. But there's lots to pick from what he was putting out on Truth Social this weekend. Man, that guy's busy, hey? The brand of Trump. So what I'm asking here is, okay, this weekend, why did he choose this weekend to use the word military tribunal? Okay, is there a reason for that? Are we getting close to actually admitting that we're doing that? Why did he do that? Okay, so what's behind the heavy-handed? Like, is that just going to get more and more, or are we just going to see more and more of that? Where's that going to lead to? Okay, let's look at it that way. Where's that going to lead to? Okay, wow. So somebody came on board with Trump recently that gave him a lot more clout somehow. I wonder if what he was doing in the Middle East really brought everybody together. And like what I was getting was he was collecting world powers and world military and support, because there's a way bigger threat coming to humanity, or potentially, and it's coming from off-world, maybe underwater, maybe all of the above, and under earth. So inner earth, say. So we could have, I feel like they're preparing for something potentially that they're thinking might happen. And the whole world's going to have to defend itself, humanity. So they're trying to get together some alliances with the world in the background, right? So they're trying to get it so everybody agrees to come together with Trump on fighting these potential problems that the whole world's going to face. It won't be about where you're from, what country are you from. It's going to be way beyond that. So. Okay, so we've got the Two of Cups there. So he's feeling empowered by some recent, like it feels like shaking of hands and deals made in the background. Okay, and okay, let's have a look. And that feels like Hillary to me. Remember that Hillary is a Scorpio, right? And this could be a Scorpio woman. He's certainly, and this card sometimes comes up for her too, because that can be a real nasty really nasty woman if they're badly aspected. And this woman can be really a slippery slope, because emotional cards, when they're badly aspected, can get really dark too. Okay, so I feel like certainly the Hillary outing, so we outed Hillary and Obama. I feel like the person that very likely could be first in line here, so that first arrest. So this almost feels like it answers a couple of questions. I feel like the first arrest might be Hillary, not Obama. But I mean, between those two is what I'm thinking. It's neck and neck. But I'm going to ask that specifically in a minute here. The reason he put those out is, again, preparing. So we've got a build up and a preparing. Okay, so it's not fully what, something else is going to come and really take these guys out at the knees. So where everyone will know what they've been doing, what they've have done, that they've been tribunaled. I feel like that's already a given that they've been tribunaled. But everybody needs to know that. And of course, a lot of people have no clue about that. I feel like they're preparing so people won't be so shocked. Okay, so they can go back and say, well, Trump was trying to tell you, because he always tries to tell you. Right? He always tries to tell you, okay, because the world's moving in the direction where everybody's going to come on board, like I said. So this is the general population actually ends up knowing everything we know. So that feels like that's imminent here. Thank goodness. Okay. And they're preparing for when that's the case, and they can get everybody looking over here. Look, we put this out. We told you over here. I feel like they're covering their butts, basically. So now the next question I'm going to ask is, which one of between Hillary and Obama is it going to be one of those two? Okay, is it going to be Hillary, Obama, or someone else altogether different that gets publicly arrested? And if so, when? See if we can get all of that in one. Let's have a look. Well, we definitely got a big arrest coming. Oh my goodness. Okay, the two biggest heavy hitters for shock value, okay, is those two cards, and they're right there. It's going to be a political figure. And yeah, I think it's one of those two. So there's a big yes in the middle. And whoever it is has already been rounded up. We already know they've both been rounded up as far as I'm concerned. I'm thinking it's Hillary. I'm going to go with Hillary on this. Yeah, whoever it is. Yeah, I think it's Hillary. Yeah, it's Hillary. They were rounded up some time ago, the real Hillary. So they're going to fake round up Hillary, and I think she'll be the first arrest. So I'll just say that. Wow. That is fascinating. Okay. Now let's look at Joe Biden. Okay, so all of a sudden we got this weekend was nuts for info out there. It was like a nonstop fire hose of information. But Joe Biden has aggressive prostate cancer, apparently, and it's moving into his bones. Is that even a thing? Can that even happen? Anyway, so aggressive prostate cancer. Now, the guy was rounded up a long time ago. This is an actor we've been seeing for years. We haven't seen the real Joe Biden for years. That doesn't even look anything like the original Joe Biden. Even if he's aged quite a bit, the ears are wrong, the chin's wrong, everything's wrong on that guy. Okay, so that's the fake Joe Biden right there. And who knows if that's even, that's a mask wearer, that lady probably. You can even almost see a line here, but that could just be age lines. I got some of those too. What am I talking about? Anyway, okay, let's have a look. Yeah, Jill. I wonder if Jill just signed up to do this to save her own neck and kind of get this fake Joe Biden to look more real by having the real Jill next to him. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what they're doing? This movie's gotten so nuts. But let's have a look at Joe Biden's, the announcement that the fake Joe Biden has now this cancer, this aggressive prostate. Are we going to see the tail end of this guy? Okay. And I really hope we do. And of course, I don't mean like he'll be, of course, like I believe eventually people will all know what he really did. Like a lot of people were also asking, is he going to actually get outed for his true crimes against humanity? I believe all of these people will, but it's going to take a couple of years. Okay. I don't think they can just like present that all overnight. I feel like that's going to take time. We're going to take time to out all of these guys and all their crimes, show you even maybe some tribunal footages. I believe all of that will happen. I've looked into it before. But of course, what we're watching here, that's a theater card. So the theater that he has, okay, so the actor that is playing Joe Biden, yeah, they're going to use him as part of the theater, okay, as we become more independent of the deep state. So she's independent sovereignty. So as we become that, so it looks like it's alongside a financial independence coming. So that's interesting, whatever that means. Okay. We've been getting for a long time, there's going to be a new financial system. It's been up and running alongside, I've been getting that for years, alongside the old one. And the old one is going by the wayside because it was the deep state run one. So those gangster bankers are going by the wayside. And they've been carefully putting this one forward, a more independent one where we're independent, more independent of. And we've had a few versions of that floated, but the idea is say no to the ones that involve overreach by the government or in any way tied to the old system, right? And I feel like eventually we will. By the third one, yeah, we're going to get a real system that works. But whatever's happening with Joe Biden or the fake Joe Biden or the actor Joe Biden is all theater. And it's just comms, and it's getting us ready for the next phase and level of awareness for everybody. So it feels like we're getting so much closer to everybody knowing this stuff. And this weekend was a huge step towards really preparing everybody. And I felt like it was like, yeah, it was almost hard to keep up with how much stuff was getting dropped this weekend, frankly. Okay, so that, of course, is exactly what we thought it was. Was that the real Donald Trump in the Middle East? Okay, so apparently, and I really respect a lot of other truthers out there. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And Martin Brodell is one that I really like and respect. Also his lovely wife, Brenda. And they apparently, or at least Martin apparently was saying that that was the real Donald Trump in the Middle East. So let's have a look. Was it always the real Donald Trump? Was he like at some of those meetings? Did we ever see real Donald Trump in the Middle East? Like how much of that? How much? Because I doubt if every single one. Because actually when you go through all of the footage, there's 2 or 3 different versions of Trump, even in the footage of the Middle East. Some of the things I doubt was real Donald Trump attending, and other things likely were. Okay, but we're not sure. So was any of that real Donald Trump? We'll start there. So a lot of the time was a younger version, the younger guy, the younger Donald Trump. I'd say mostly it was not Donald Trump, but there was maybe 2 or 3 particular things that he was involved in that he could have showed up for. Okay, the start. Yeah, would have put him in too much danger. So I feel like he had to stay, out of that. I'd say there was 80% not Donald Trump, and then a small percent where he actually showed up. So he might have showed up. There was a few, and actually, when you look through the footage, you can see the potential of what could have been really him. Yeah. But a whole lot of it, some of it was even, by the way, by the look of this, CGI. So some of it was filmed somewhere altogether different, and then they filmed the whole, like they put it together as if it was happening in real time. So some of that wasn't even happening in real time, guys, which of course we know they do. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my world news, and take care. Sending you all ravens. Bye-bye. Secretive card again. So more secrets revealed. This one's really disappointing. So it's not like, it was kind of good news today, the 13th, or sorry, 14th, but the 15th less exciting to hear about. So we're going to find out, it looks like, or there's some kind of outing videos. And I feel like this is in the community. Like this stuff shared on social media, but it doesn't mean that liberals, far left people are even watching this stuff. Okay. My roommate, and well, actually she's moved into her own place now. Okay. And now they're working on my place to get it upgraded. But my ex-roommate and friend, okay, she is totally Trump derangement syndrome. We can't even talk about Trump or anything. And her feed is totally far left liberal stuff. Okay, so I get a glimpse of, and I've asked her not to show me stuff. Okay, but it's exactly the opposite, exactly of what I get on my feed. Okay, so my ex feed and her ex feed are exactly polar opposites. She's getting like all the big Trump smears, and what he's doing wrong, and what a racist he is, and all the same old they've been saying about him for years. She gets that all still, and just made up stuff. Like all of those far left people, they're actually mortally afraid, especially the women, of losing their body autonomy rights, as if everyone didn't lose their body autonomy rights, or would have had they been allowed to push the vax and keep pushing the vax the way they did. And in some places it still looks like they are doing that. Okay, so never mind that. They don't even think about that anymore. They think about, oh, Trump's in, and that means we won't be able to get abortions on demand, basically. Like it's horrifying. Okay, so you can love people, but they can be just not on top of these things. They've been brainwashed. I have a lot of compassion for that, because I was a brainwashed person. Okay, I totally had Trump derangement syndrome back in the day. I no longer do, and I absolutely don't see it that way. Thank goodness I woke up. But I'm just still hoping these people that I absolutely love wake up. Okay. Anyway, like I was saying, so these things come out, and we're seeing them, okay, because we're watching the feed, and it's sort of the algorithms going with what we look at, not what the liberals and far lefts look at. Okay, so unless you're spying over there, okay, you're not going to see the stuff they're seeing. It's unbelievable. But anyway, at least it's coming out, and we can point to it, because it'll all be out there. I'm saving a lot of these things, a lot of these memes, and a lot of these videos. I'm saving them. I'm downloading them on my computer, and I'll be able to show them when the time comes. But these people aren't really watching these things. I get it. I get that's frustrating for people. But I feel like there's going to be a moment when everybody gets on board with the same sort of vision. And I don't know exactly when. I feel like it's soon. I think it's sometime this, like late spring, summer. I think it's coming. Okay, I think we're right around the corner from it. We've been saying that for a long time, but it feels really, really soon. Okay, and there's so many comms leading to that, right? So see that 9 even, it says we're so close to, first of all, a new money system that's gold backed. And I feel like this whole Middle East trip has a lot to do with a new financial system going to be coming in. Okay, and see that, the Magician. So some big outing of theater. So the theater and even the mainstream's going to get a whiff of this one, because that's what do the public see. They've been seeing slowly but surely, and it's been leaking into the mainstream, all of the things that we've been seeing being outed, but it feels like the 15th has in store something that actually comes mainstream, okay, that shows you're watching a movie. So I don't know what that could be. Does somebody take their mask off? Does somebody really obviously show their true colors, and it's on the news? I don't know. But let's watch for that, because it looks like the movie really outs itself to some degree here. It outs itself, and there also feels like something, we're going to hear about something that inches us a lot closer to a new financial system, and that looks like that happens on the 15th. Wow. Okay, so let's look at May 16th. So May 16th, so that's, now we're looking at Friday. Let's see what we got for Friday. So we've got the death of something or someone. So something dies and never resurrects, and that could be a human, a person, but whoever it is, this community celebrates it, so, or whatever it is. So we're going to hear about something that's never going to resurrect or goes away forever. I don't know what I'm talking about, so I'll just say that. Okay, so something that's been plaguing us, or a person, maybe it's a person, although this is interesting that it's the death card, but we don't see a person in here yet. I don't see an actual person. Okay, so I feel like whoever it is, if it is an actual person that dies on Friday, it's going to be someone who's already been processed, because the cards are saying it's more a revealing of a death, not necessarily the death itself. The death already happened. Okay, so we're either getting a reveal of something that's already been taken apart and no longer exists. It could be an entity. It could be an institution, okay? Like the Fed's an institution, like CRA is an institution. These are institutions. It could be a government institution. It could be like a medical institution coming down. Okay, so we get a big takedown or announcement of a death, maybe literally a person, or actually a institution, some kind of a takedown in public. But the thing is that it's already happened. So the person or the thing that gets taken down in public has already been taken down. So that's interesting. Now that's, the loss of something. And the general population might see it at first as a loss, like, oh, too bad that person passed, or too bad that institution was taken down. We could really use, in fact, they might even cry about it. So crying about the person, or we've seen a lot of that where big, really bad players, cult players have been taken out, and people say sad things about it because they don't know any better, right? Yeah. So anyway, something like that, something goes down in the public eye or is taken out, and we know that it's a good thing, this community, but people are mourning it in the public eye because they don't know any better. Yeah, and it's something that's plagued, or a person that's plagued or been around for a really long time doing bad things. Wow. So let's look at the 17th. Now, a lot of people are talking about this date. They're like, oh my goodness, the 17th, that's gotta be, because of course it's the Q, the letter Q, the 17th. And every time the 17th comes around on any month, a whole bunch of truthers get out and tell you some big event's going to happen. I doubt if they'd literally do an event really obviously on the 17th, but you never know, right? That's too obvious as far as I'm concerned. This is a war. I don't think they'll be that obvious, but let's have a look. What's going to happen on May 17th? So that's Saturday. Oh, yikes. I guess something kind of shakes things up for reals. Okay, so that is kind of it can be also a revelation. So depending on what's around it in the cards, the tower doesn't actually have to be something like an event that shakes everybody up, like literally an earthquake or a fire starts, or it can literally be a revelation where a lot of people become aware of something, like a truth bomb drops and a lot of people at once become aware. Okay, that's what this card can mean. Okay, it doesn't have to be an event. It could be more a mental event in your mind where we get a breakthrough. It could even be a breakthrough, a knowledge breakthrough. But let's have a look. Yeah, it feels like a knowledge breakthrough to me. It feels like a knowledge breakthrough. So there's some kind of breakthrough. It'll be spun, so an information breakthrough, but it'll be spun in the general population. This is what's happening in the population. This is our community, these two. Okay, and the awareness breakthrough or information breakthrough has something to do with sovereignty, independence, independent financial, how to be independent financially, in a way, a lot of the information coming out about how taxes was formed originally, how the Fed isn't actually federal, and that probably goes for all the other sort of agencies like that in all the other countries that collect yearly taxes off people and off their wages. Okay, this probably goes for all of them, but we'll just talk about it in terms of the US, because that was really outed, that the Federal Reserve isn't federal and the money doesn't actually go back into the country, which is probably how it goes for all of the all the countries that have those yearly taxes, which is pretty much all of them. Okay, that was a huge revelation. Okay, and it was shared far and wide, and a lot of people are now onto, and I suspect, and I've been saying this for a while, that a lot of people are not going to be dealing with these guys anymore going forward. And I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not advising you any which way. I have no comment on what you do with your yearly taxes or don't do with it. Okay, but I am going to say a lot of people came to realize they were being completely lied to about what that was, why it even came into being. It was exactly like the pandemic lockdowns. Oh, this will just be to soften the curve. And in yearly taxes, Fed taxes wise, they brought it in as a war measure, okay, to help the country get back on its feet for a short amount of time. And then, oh, isn't that funny? It stuck around and just got bigger and bigger, and they took more and more and more. And now we're stuck with this fraudulent system of pillage. Anyway, and it's enslaved all of us. But so there's some kind of a new awareness drop of some kind that could actually free more of us, or have more of us understand how to become free people from systems. Okay, so some kind of system awareness of how we've been truly hosed. Okay. And so something like that. So there's some outing. So it looks like every single day there's outings of things and more awareness and truth. Okay, so that's how this is going here. We'll have to keep our eyes open for that. Now we've got the five of, this is interesting. So in the general population, they're not really onto it, but they feel like on their level, so the normie level, they do feel like there's a lot of complaining about how they don't have enough. Okay. And we have an awareness of how to get around some kind of a taking. Okay, so I'll say it like that, and we'll have a big breakthrough in how to keep ourselves sovereign from that. Some information drop comes out around that, but that's nonstop. By the way, if you look around the internet, there's nonstop stories about how people are getting out of the system. We're not sure in the long term how it'll work, but a lot of people are starting the process, becoming sovereign, independent, and common law people. All of that is a process in itself. Okay, but this card here says in the general population, they don't know anything about that. They just know that they're on some other level where they're rejecting given any more money to the government than they have to. So that's how they're behaving. But this community is, in a bigger sense, seems to have huge awarenesses of how to stop letting this happen to us. These guys are way behind on that. They'll need to catch up. Okay, so we've got the Hanged Man. A big way to stop that, by the way, is to just personally decide and stick to your personal integrity around it. And just personally, be true to yourself about what you will and won't comply to. Okay, so that's what I would say. So we've got the Hanged Man, and then stick to it no matter what they do to you. Just be true to your own knowing what's okay and what isn't as a human being here on the earth plane. Okay, and so I know there's a lot of technical speak about that, but I feel like in your heart, if you just know what's not okay for you and what is okay for you, and just be honest and loud and proud about that, I feel like we can get through whatever's coming if we do that. That's how I approach it. That's what I'm going to be doing. We've got the Hanged Man here and the Ace. Yeah, I feel like it's not quite ready to go mainstream, but something will come out here, it looks like, on Saturday that really is a shock even to our community, that could shock us into more awareness of how to become that sovereign being. So I don't know what story comes out for us, but it'll be interesting, and it feels like it's a big truth bomb for us to be it'll help us become more sovereign, a creative way to do that. So I love that. I love stuff like that. There's a lot of wise people out there sharing info, guys. So that was the 17th. Now let's look at the 18th. So May 18th. Let's have a look. What's going on May 18th? Okay, so our community will experience some kind of disappointing news of some kind. Okay, just temporary setbacks. That's a temporary setback. Or there could just be a lot of complaining and fear porn around. Okay, and things aren't, there's going to be a lot of complaining and fear porn. Watch for that in the community. Okay, a lot of people bummed out. Wow. Okay. Interesting. The general population, something good for them. That's interesting. Okay. Wish coming true for normies. I have no idea what that would be. So that's interesting. So in normie news, something good actually happens, and the normies start going, hey, wait, we wanted that. So I have no idea what that would be. But for us, our advice is step away from fear porn. Really check the source of fear porn. Okay, like when I get some YouTuber spreading fear porn, or somebody who says they're a YouTuber says they're a truther, right? Because not everybody who thinks they're a truther are actually telling truth, right? Sometimes I think they're, captured. Sometimes they have no idea and they're just spouting off, but there's some really good ones out there, but then there's a whole bunch of BS out there too, right? So you have to really be discerning about who you're listening to. There's going to be something we need to reject. There's going to be some big rumor in our community that's far less of a problem than it will appear to be. Okay. Meanwhile, the normies, have something they hear about that they're all excited about, and they feel like general population thinks they get a win for once here, but I have no idea what that would be, and that'll be interesting and fun to watch for. But our population, our group, our community is needing to reject somebody's going to put out a video. You know how Nino's Corner does this on the regular, where all of a sudden they're going to get some naysayer, and Nino totally listens to the person, gives them airspace. And I guess it's good to listen to everybody's stuff, but whatever it is, I don't know if it's Nino or who's going to put it out, but somebody's going to put something out there that's total BS fear porn, and we need to reject it and really at least examine it with our intuitive third eye, and at least reject if our soul says no way that could be true. Don't get all bummed out about people coming with big sad sob stories that we're all doomed and Trump's really the bad guy, and I don't know what it'll be about, but it feels like we're going to get hit with one of those on the 18th. Okay, so just be aware. Okay, now let's look at the 19th. So this is May 19th, 2025. What can we expect? So sort of a hangover from that, some of the things that happened, it looks like, that I was just talking about on the 18th. So this is the 19th now. We've got a bit of a hangover on that. And we could even get more input or maybe even a backup video, or maybe even somebody coming with and explaining how that can't be the case. So the big fear porn video, maybe somebody comes with their version of what's going on, and it totally deletes kind of the fear porn. That's what I get. Something like that happens, and it creates us. And so the whole idea is not to get sort of caught up in somebody's big negative take on things. Okay, just stay solid in your soul, what you think's going on. Okay, none of us know really what's going on, but we have some ideas about it. Okay, and if your intuition is turned on, you're going to feel when something's likely BS. Okay, your BS meter. So make sure you got your BS meters turned up really high, because I feel like there's a continuation on the 19th of, and maybe even a clarification that really maybe someone will do another video that really says the opposite of what that fear porn one is, and really clarifies, because we're getting thrown all over the place. And the one thing the deep state still has are minions out there coming up with stuff to make Trump look bad, still to make good truthers out there look bad, to make information we believe we know, to look like it's wrong or whatever. Okay, so just be careful about that. Like, we can get really stung in this community and swung around. So basically, you need to ground and stay personally knowing in what you know to be true. Okay, and until you're really, really sure intuitively that some new input is, the direction we're all going. Okay, stick with your own inner knowing on it. That's what I do. Okay, yeah, I feel like there'll be a counter to that and counter evidence. And if you get involved, you're going to get all swung around, and your emotional value will be, spun. Okay, it feels like you'll feel like maybe even the Schumann resonance is way off or something, because you're going to go from devastated, if you're buying into just whatever anybody's putting out there. I've seen good good digital soldiers do this. They get devastated because, you know, somebody had a guest on and they said everything we believe is not true and blah, blah. And then boom, something else comes out a week later and totally outs this guest, you know, as a deep stater or whatever. Yeah. So we have to be so careful. Like, yeah, absolutely. So I feel like something else will come out that really clarifies what everybody was scared of the day before. Now, all of this could be happening only to a few, because a lot of us don't pay any attention to, you know, the fear mongers. Okay. Like, there's a lot of them. Okay. That'll have guests on that say the opposite, and you know, and that's fine. It's good to hear all the things, but then they'll the very next day have the exact opposite, a guest saying the exact opposite. Then they're going to have somebody else saying, and to me, it's like, okay, that's too much information. Like the whole community is just going to get yo-yoed around if you do. I like to be more consistent. I always check in with my intuitive knowing. If I think somebody has a valid point, I might have them on as a guest. But for the most part, I can feel how that's a big infiltration trick. Okay, so yeah, I'm a little more steady Eddie for sure. And it feels like almost every time, even I in my secretly even might have been, you know, unbalanced by some news. Okay, like when they first put out that Q was like some big psyop operation to undermine everybody's trust. And it was really, you know, the deep state's operation. Okay. I was triggered by that. I absolutely was. But then I felt in my soul what was true and what wasn't true. And I also looked at my card readings over the years on Q and then did more card readings. And I truly grounded myself and felt that, no, these guys are real and they're what I thought they were when I first did a reading on Q. I had no idea who they were. I never even heard of them. And this guy I used to work with, his name was Guy. He threw that question out at me on a live show. Okay. And a live video. We used to do them every night. And so I had no idea who they were. I didn't have time to look it up or anything. And that's a good way to use tarot cards and tarot questions. Just throw something in there you know nothing about and see what happens. And I nailed what Q is and what I believe it is today. So what I'm getting at is our community could get undermined here on the 18th and 19th, or someone will put some big news out there that's total BS. And we got to ground and just feel through it, because even by the next day, there's counter videos maybe or in opinions about it. So just stay grounded and try not to get tossed around in the soup that goes on that we call the truther world. It can get pretty silly, right? So you got to stay just grounded and in your own personal knowing and integrity. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm sending everybody ravens on the next few days here, and I'll see you next week for our Monday's World News. Thanks again. Bye-bye. The way it's presented today. Okay, I'm not talking about natural healers. I'm not talking about the woo healers. I'm talking about people that buy into the whole medical system, the way it's presented in most countries all over the world, their understanding of virus. Okay, so we've got the Hanged Man and the Four. So now that's interesting. Both of these cards are about waiting, stopping, or understanding something being different. So this person is looking at the three descriptions, or three different people's maybe, or three different organizations' ideas of a virus. And it's a whole other thing over here by the look of that. Okay. And this card here says, we turn everything upside down, or it's going to be painful. Okay, so the Hanged Man is putting yourself in a difficult position to become, notice this guy's halo. enlightened. Enlightened. Okay, so maybe the whole world put themselves, because I believe what's been happening since the whole pandemic shutdown stuff, a lot of people woke up. Okay, especially in this community, a lot of people just woke. Some people were awake long before that, so I'm not undervaluing that. I'm just saying a lot of people woke up right at the moment of lockdown. Certainly I did. And a lot of people realized it was their mission to out this stuff. It's like we clicked into, oh my goodness, you know, we've got to change this the whole system's rigged. Okay, it was like it was sort of back there somewhere anyway, and I had a lot of those ideas, and a lot of people in the audience, I'm sure, already were onto some of this stuff. Okay, but then all of a sudden, when that lockdown happened, it was like, okay, that was it. It was like, this is too much. You pushed us too far. Now our awareness won't block it anymore. We're not going along with this. And I feel like it was part of the human evolution. So even the whole pandemic lockdown and everything that's happened needed to happen for us to become aware. This card says you get put in a difficult position spiritually, or you choose to be in that position. Your soul does choose it anyway, even if your ego won't admit you chose. Your soul chose to be here. That's my opinion anyway. I'm not, you know, you don't need to believe that, but that's my opinion. But see that enlightenment card? So we're becoming enlightened. We're evolving through the experience as a human race. Okay. We at some point needed to know overlords that we gave permission to. Okay. And all of these people we gave permission to, we handed over all our power to, they've completely taken advantage of us. It's like the ultimate betrayal, okay? But we did give over permission, and we did hand over all our rights and powers. We've been doing it for years, slowly. And yeah, we were tricked for sure. But at some point, we need to admit that we handed it over. Okay, so now we got to go take it right back again, okay? It's not like we're bad for doing that. It's more like now that we know, we can't let that happen anymore. Okay. Okay, here's the past. So we've got the Three of Pentacles there. Okay, so the Three of Pentacles could be an agreement by different entities or organizations that agreed to something, okay, and put something forward. So I feel like what viruses really are is definitely not what they present. Okay, we're finding that out the hard way through the whole thing that happened during the pandemic and all the lockdowns. Okay, it's something completely different. So there may be something like what they call a virus. Okay, but it doesn't behave the way they say it does. Okay, because this is something totally different being presented. Okay. And I'm sure there's people even watching and viewing this video that might know what I'm talking about. So please put your ideas in the description and be kind to others, because a lot of us, we're just like, we're not technical about these things, right? So it's not like we just are foolish or whatever. Like, let us know what you know about it and share that information. That'd be awesome. Okay, so the Three of Pentacles tells me, I think it was created, you bet. And that card there, that confirms it. So who created it? They created it in the way that they presented it, a certain way. So there's something truth in the fact that viruses exist, but not in the way that they present it. Now we've got the Devil. And so that's a PSYOP card. And they planned it a long time ago. I feel like they planted things like that a long time ago. So they've been planning this for a really long time. And actually, my second look, when we, after our little commercial break, my second look is absolutely, we're going to show you just how long ago they were already planning the lockdowns and the pandemic. But anyway, so viruses do not exist in the way we've been taught. Okay, so here we've got the Nine of Swords. So we've also been taught to fear them. Okay, in particular, how we spread them and move them around between each other. Okay, so I feel like that part isn't true. Okay, so airborne viruses, okay, that's probably totally lies. You know, the whole mask wearing during the pandemic and whatever. Okay, that was like viruses move through the weave of a mask anyway. So I'm still arguing that one out with all my normie relatives and stuff. It's horrifying that they could think that a little clothy mask is going to help them. And so many ways that they tried to tell us, oh, you need to stay 6 feet apart. Like what a joke that was. And it's interesting. It was 6 feet apart. So interesting with that number 6. But anyway, so it goes along with this devil card here. The club, the deep state, the dark cult, the Khazarian mafia, they were creating this a long time. The whole virus myth, okay, is absolutely a myth. I'm sure that there's lots of ways we could describe what viruses really are, and we don't have time to do that. And I don't have the kind of knowledge to talk about it. Okay, but it isn't what we've been taught. So viruses, I'm going to say the way they present them, okay, is made up. So yeah, you better believe it. They were making that up. Now let's see if the reason they were making it up. So my secondary question to that is the reason they were making it up to create, was it directly to create vaxes for it? Did they already think about, oh, we'll make the cure for these things? Okay. Once we tell them that it spreads around and it comes monthly I was always told every 6 months, you can basically expect to get a cold. You can expect to get, the flu several times a year, blah, blah, blah. Right. So there's seasons, there's flu seasons. And then, of course, they created the whole industry around that, the flu shot, all the flu meds. Think about it. And all the meds for your little cold you got. Okay. So they create the thing and then they create all the ways you can cure it. Okay. So even us all collectively believing that it happens the way they say it does. Okay. It creates. So I used to believe absolutely, because I got a cold every single year right around the same time, right around Christmas. I actually believed that must happen. Therefore it happened. Okay, that happened to me for years. And then as soon as the pandemic actually came on and I realized a lot of this is made up, okay, and we're being tricked, I stopped getting that yearly cold. It was a doozy too, 6 weeks long. Okay, it's all fear. It's fear porn, guys. Okay, certainly there's probably ways to deal with it, but with less fear involved that would create us not as susceptible to these things. Wow. Okay. So now let's look at, did they purposely create, did they already have in mind to make vaccinations, right? The cure for these things. Okay. All these illnesses. Okay. Did they actually make up the whole virus thing and the myth about viruses? And even the whole myth about how illnesses are and which illnesses are going to do what to you. Did they make that all up to create vaccinations? They being Khazarian mafia, the overlords that, the 1% elites that have been running this world. And it goes all the way into off-worlder, who knows, controllers, who might have originally come here, Elohim, that's my belief. So the Elohim word in the Bible that people get confused about and think it means angels or even God source, when it's actually plural, and often related to stories about really demonic creatures that do the dirty work, basically, of these overlords that came. Okay, but largely been misinterpreted. And there's lots of really good videos going down that rabbit hole, by the way. Okay, so let's have a look at. So once you don't believe you're going to get sick every year, and this has been my experience, and that's my personal experience, and I'll just share it. Really, I don't get those illnesses. Okay, so I literally stopped having those yearly illnesses. Okay, so I feel like it's largely fear related. Okay, let's have a look at, or sometimes they spread stuff around on purpose. Okay, so they create those fogs that spread stuff. They create, of course, and then add all the bad food, which, by the way, I've been really trying to eat way better, so that's probably helped. Okay, like I feel like your environment is creating the issue, not the virus getting spread around by everybody. But anyway, let's see if they created all of these illnesses here to make the virus. Like, was that the end game, was to get these viruses? Because if you think about it, there's a lot of evidence that, for instance, the polio vaccine actually ended up giving cancer to so many people. They probably created cancerous energy in the way cancer is created out in the world and how it affects people in the human race, and all kinds of illnesses actually by giving people viruses. This is all things that are being discovered. Okay, the SIDS, so the infant death, sudden infant death. Okay, that so many people have experienced with their just 3-week-olds or whatever. They leave the earth plane, they just chalk it up to sudden infant death. Okay, perfectly healthy children that they just suddenly decide to leave. Usually it's shortly after infant vaccinations, which is unbelievably unnecessary. In no universe does a healthy baby who's being breastfed, and even if they aren't being breastfed, it's better if they are, obviously, but if they aren't even, in what universe would their bodies be able to manage all of the gunk when you look at what they actually are putting in these vaccinations? It's unbelievable. It's like we're poisoning our kids. Okay, and we're just figuring it out. We're just figuring it out that we're actually being taught and programmed to poison our kids. Okay, and people are scared to even tell their young people I'm afraid to tell nieces and nephews, okay, don't vax. Okay, because I'll be ostracized out of the family. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to hear you telling them what to do with their kids. Like, it's just a dilemma right now. It's just horrifying. Okay, so what do we got here? So justice, yeah, major arcanas like that. That's an absolute yes. You bet they did. You bet. And it also led to them insisting on, so lots of countries have this, where you actually can get in trouble or even get your children taken away if you don't put them on these vax programs. Okay, I got in a lot of trouble with my kids, and thank goodness, like I would just squeaked by with the ages of my two kids now. One's in their 30s and one's in their 20s. I just squeaked by with where in Alberta they weren't saying, okay, you can't get away with not doing these, right? So thank goodness I was just in a time frame where, I didn't, my daughter in particular had absolutely no vaccinations. Unfortunately, later, out of fear porn, got herself vaxxed for the pandemic situation, which I'm very, very sad for. But anyway, my son got much less than most kids, but that was partly to do with agreements with his dad. I was dealing with his dad very particularly wanting vaccination and me not, so we compromised on some things. But anyway, so nowadays I would move somewhere, frankly, where nobody was getting near my kid. No doctors going near me. If I was having children right now, I'd be so far away from any of that. Like, nobody's even going to touch my kid, and I wouldn't even get him a birth certificate. That's where I'm going with this. Like, we know about all of that stuff now. But anyway, yeah, it was created. Absolutely. It was a absolute psyop to get you to take vaccinations, and the vaccinations are kill shots. Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. That just really, 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 really hurts my feelings, to be honest, that this was all done to us. By the way, morning meditations, 50% off. I think I might need to join this morning meditation just so I don't feel so bad. You know what I mean? I need that connection. Okay. And it's 50% off, and it's with code morning50. But apparently, as soon as you go to the checkout, that code gets applied. So that's a wicked deal. Jen's morning meditation. And then Ascension Organites has their Shungite sale. Okay, so this is a lot of people wait for this sale, and she's got so many varieties now of Shungite, wearable Shungite. So yeah, go check that out. Carla with Ascension Organites. Thanks, guys. So now I want to look at my second part of this, and it kind of makes sense now that we'll move over here. Is going to be around arrests. What I want to look at, and I know a lot of people are wondering, when are people going to get arrested for being big players in the pandemic? Okay, so I'm talking about the big wigs now, and of course, I hope it filters down to anybody that was pushing it and or who knew. And even if they didn't know, okay, if they're just following orders, that they didn't do their research, okay, once things were getting, people were getting yelling about it, okay, who were pushing jabs. So we start out with, Fauci, of course, he'd be the first one I'd want arrested, okay, and then anybody politically pushing it, anybody who was in charge of deciding who got fired or let go of because they wouldn't take jabs, anybody in the military who was forcibly jabbing people, anybody forcibly jabbing people anywhere. Okay, so anybody connected in the higher levels, they need to be arrested immediately, in my opinion. Okay, so I want to know, okay, why aren't they being, and will they be, and when? Okay, because a lot of people are yelling about it, and I totally get that, right? I know we're in some big military operation. I know we've got a war going on. We call it the 5D war. We call it the information war. I get that, right? I've been talking about it for years. I understand that. But it is absolutely crucial that these people get rounded up. This stuff was being planned in 2012. Okay, all you got to do is look at the 2012 Olympics opening games. You know they were already planning it. So even to orchestrate these opening games to be so blatantly calming what was going to happen now in 2020 or 2019, 2020, 2021, 22. Okay, they already knew all of that stuff. Right? They were already planning it. Like if you just take really close look at, so Google 2012 Olympic Games opening ceremony. Okay, it was all about children wearing masks, getting jabbed, nurses going after them. They even did a big shout out, basically, to the registered nurses in the UK. I forget what they're called. There's going to be a big, there it is, NHS, those guys. Okay, and those guys were being applauded every night. Do you guys remember that? Where people were encouraged to go out on their balconies and applaud these scumbags, okay, for pushing jabs on people, okay, doing the things they were doing in hospitals. Okay, so some of them thought they were doing good, but as soon as they figured out it wasn't okay, they needed to stop. No, they went further and were even doing dance routines. Okay, so all of that had to be pre-recorded. Okay, so how long were they planning this? Some of this stuff is, like I said, is back as far as 2012. Even sooner, there's evidence that they were already preparing for this. So it's unbelievable. Okay, they were ready with those 6 foot, stay 6 feet apart stickers, like days after the lockdown. Even when they said, okay, the lockdown will only be a few days, and then it was only a few weeks, to get the curve down. And then, the real plan with the pandemic was it was going to go on for 10 years. Okay, but with Trump in the White Hat activity, meanwhile, and they knew it and they saw this coming, so they had some things planned. They were doing all kinds of things that created everything to have to go way faster, which created the deep state. This is my opinion, and with all the reads I've done for years, it created the deep state to really make some really big mistakes and push it way faster. Even the warp speed thing was actually tripping these guys up. Okay, so a lot of people get mad at Trump for the warp speed thing, but there's really great explanations. We don't have time to go into it right now, but great explanations about why it was exactly what was necessary at the time. Okay, so look into it, go down that rabbit hole. So yeah, what we're getting at here is, when are we going to see some top level arrests here? We haven't even seen those top level. So it appears, in my opinion, is they already happened. You know what I believe about these things. These guys were rounded up probably as early as, they started getting rounded up, I believe, in 2017. And then went on from there. So the Fauci guy was probably being puppeted all through the pandemic and made to out all their little demonic plans. And I think that's still happening. Okay, but the public does really we need to see arrest. There's still people in total denial and just want to put, get this under the carpet. There's people out there that just want us to forget all about this, that this ever happened, okay? And that you weren't humiliated, kept away from your loved ones, kept away from their funerals, weren't even allowed to have funerals, weren't invited for dinner, all of those things. Okay, when you add all of those things up, the atrocities that happened, the mental ill sort of episodes that probably came out of this, like, never mind all the people they actually literally killed in the hospital. If you were actually unfortunate enough to go to a hospital during those times, things got really sketchy. You'd be lucky to come out of the hospital. Okay. They would right away assume they were just trying to rack up numbers. So anything you actually died of, it would be written down as, they had COVID-19. That's what they died of. And that's, been proven that was happening. Right. So many lies were going on. But let's have a look. When are we going to see some arrests for somebody as big as, so we're talking now the big wigs like Fauci and of course I believe he's been rounded up. So just getting straight there. But I'm talking about publicly arresting them so the rest of the world knows what we know. Right? Because it's getting silly. Okay. And I'm being polite about it. It's getting ridiculous. Okay, let's have a look. Isn't that interesting? The Empress and a worrisome card. This card worries often for, they're worrying about something that's not actually going to happen. So that's interesting. This card can talk about the financial system. It can talk about abundance, but there's a worry card around it. So much worry and concern around something financial. So something financial maybe needs to get out of the way before they'll come out with this. Because remember, we asked why we haven't seen arrests. When are we going to see arrests? Questions like that. So we're looking around big arrests. Okay. So something has to happen first. So it looks like something different has to happen first, and it could be financial. Here we've got the high priestess. So it's kept secret. This is in the middle here. This is what's happening for the general public. Now we're talking normies here. This is kind of what's really going on. Here's what people know generally. Like, we're talking mainstream media. No, we're not talking what this community knows. Okay, so they don't know anything. We've got the secretive card. They know very little unless they're watching videos like this and paying attention to Telegram and all the stuff being circulated on X. Okay, and a lot of people think that's just fake news, right? Their feeds are totally different because they're not looking at anything like this. Okay, and they're also avoiding it. Okay, so a lot of people that actually fell for going to get jabbed and boosted. Okay, they don't want to, they don't want to talk about this. I get that. Okay, I get that. But it needs to get looked at. Okay, it needs to be dealt with, because this isn't just going away and getting swept under the carpet. At least not on my watch. I got to keep talking about it. Absolutely. Okay, so here we've got the 8. Yeah, some things have to happen first around finances and financial, but also children. So things to do with, so this is underground things, hidden things we don't know about, hidden things done to children. So pedophilia, adrenochrome making, that kind of thing. For whatever reason, that seems to be the direction the white hats say we got to go there first. That's a truth. So then my next one where I pulled these two more cards. So will it come out? So that card says, yes, it's going to come out. And I asked for a timing around it. And this is my June card, or within 6 months. So 6 could be the month of June. That's the 6th month in the calendar we're using right now anyway. But it's also the month of June card. Okay, so wow. I'm hoping that's this year, okay? But by the looks of that, that means this stuff will come out before that, which, I don't know, right? Maybe I'm talking next June. I don't know which June. Let's hope it's this June. Okay, let me just pull one more there. We got the 3 of Swords. Yeah, there's definitely some really hurtful things that need to get dealt with. I'd put that alongside this stuff that they also don't want to talk about what's been happening with the children. And how many stolen children. More and more info comes out about that, and we see more and more arrests of people involved in shopping these kids around and stuff. But we need to see also people rounded up. Who are they shopping them to? What elites are they bringing them over to? This isn't just in the murky world of sleazy the sleazy local pedophile. We're talking about huge organized parties where they bring these people and children in and satanic ritual, abuse them, create adrenochrome. Like, it's a way different level than how it's often presented. To me, they often downplay it to be this seedy underbelly that's always been there. No, we're talking about the ritual satanic abuse and making of adrenochrome use, stuff like that. That's the part that's going to be really ugly and hard for people to understand. And it looks like, for whatever reason, they want to deal with that first. Okay, well, let's hope they got that right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching my video. And I'm going to send everybody ravens. You're going to need to smudge after this one. Thank you so much.
Bao nhiêu chút ít còn lại này để cho mấy cô nhi quả phụ nhà họ. Người này chật chật mấy tiếng, dường như nếu không chia, lão còn rất tiếc nuối ấy. Tiếp tục nói. Bọn họ ở trong thôn gần nửa ngày. Ta đây cũng không thấy nghe nói người mặc y phục đỏ kia là Hồng Hương Tử. Liền nghe người của bọn họ tán gẫu. Nhưng những người đó cũng tùy tiện, vốn không để ý gì tới thiên hạ. Ta đây chợt nghe nói bọn họ từ Phúc Phụ đánh thẳng về Thanh Châu, lại lo vây Huệ Dân, lập ấp nơi này, nói là không phù hợp với Dương Hổ, muốn tới chỗ Ngô Kiều hội hợp với Lưu Lý Lưu Ký. Dương Lăng giật mình kinh hãi. Bây giờ phỉ tới nhanh chóng, các nơi trong thành đều tự thủ, không có đại đội quan binh bảo vệ, căn bản không có tham mã tự tin đối tới. Nếu Hồng Hương Tử không tới thành phủ lớn, chỉ tới mấy hương trấn thị trấn ở giữa, bách tính này hiện giờ lại không có lòng lo lắng đến phủ huyện báo cáo, tin tức cực kỳ chậm trễ. Hồng Hương Tử tới hội hợp cùng với Lương Đục Lưu Cấp, vậy là bọn họ sẽ lại tăng thêm một nhánh quân chủ lực. Trong lòng Dương Lăng bối rối, bình tĩnh nên nghĩ đến Hồng Hương Tử chiêu binh, thà thiếu chứ không thèm đổ bỏ đi. Nhân số hiện tại hẳn là chưa tới 5.000 người, xu thế công của Đức Châu sẽ không thay đổi. Lúc này mới ổn định tâm thần, buồn bã nói: cô ta tới Ngô Kiều. Người dân thành thật nói: bọn họ không đi, không biết bọn họ đi đâu, mà vừa nghe tin nói vì Dương đại nhân đến Đức Châu này còn là một quốc công, bọn Hồng Hương Tử bỗng nhiên lại thay đổi chủ ý, không hợp lại với Lưu Lý Lưu Ký, người của bọn họ liền xuống đường đi dưới bến sông qua Thanh Hà, muốn đi tìm người tên là Triệu Phong Tử. Dương Lăng ngẩn ngơ. Từ Thanh Hà ra sân Đông, thế thì phải đi sân Tây, nàng là muốn tránh mặt ta ư? Lão đầu kia thấy vị quan gia này mờ mịt nhìn xa xăm, lão cũng không dám đi, liền cung kính đứng trước mặt. Dương Lăng qua hồi lâu mới lấy lại tinh thần, thấy lão nhân vẫn đứng cạnh, vội vàng gật đầu nói: đa tạ lão có thể đi rồi. Dương Lăng không còn tâm tư tiếp tục dạo phố nữa, hắn ngậm ngùi thở dài, thu lại nụ cười, chậm rãi quay về. Ta tới sân Đông, nàng lên trốn sang sơn Tây, ôi tạo phản tội lớn, đại họa ngập trời. Hồng Hương Tử à, Hồng Hương Tử, nàng còn muốn gieo họa bao lâu mới vừa làm bỏ qua đây? Trong lòng Dương Lăng mặc dù có chút mất mát, tuy nhiên lại không khỏi thoải mái hẳn lên. Sơn Đông diệt phỉ không thể né tránh, đánh bại kỳ quân của Dương Hổ sẽ tiện thể thượng nhân mã của ông Lương Tử, xung đột vũ trang với nàng trên chiến trường. Dương Năng rốt cuộc có phải cảm nhận được gì hay không? Bây giờ nàng rời khỏi Sơn Đông cũng vừa lúc mình không vướng bận. Bất kể nói như thế nào, quốc gia đại sự quan trọng hơn. Hơn nữa, trận phản loạn này, bản thân đang muốn lợi dụng nó, từ trước tới giờ chạm đến thể chế chính trị triều đình để cải cách một phen. Thời vận tự đẩy mình lên vị trí này, không thể phụ ý tốt của trời cao. Nhân sinh không thể ghi trong lòng, mặc dù thọ trăm tuổi vẫn phải chết mà thôi. Tư tình nhi nữ vẫn nên gác sang một bên trước đã. Ngọn lửa chiến tranh càng ngày càng lớn, từng vệt sáng như lửa đốt cháy cả bầu trời đêm. Dưới chân thành Thái An, tiếng chém giết rung trời. Công thành vào ban đêm là đề nghị của một quan quân cấp thấp trong Dương Hổ quân. Y vốn là một quan quân, đồn điền mà vệ sở vân cho y khi đo đạc bị người của Lưu Cần tham công, nói là thổ địa của địa phương mà bị lấy mất. Y không có đất để trồng ruộng, chỉ đành lưu lạc lang thang trốn khỏi vệ sở. Lúc Dương Hổ quân tới Sơn Đông thì y đầu quân luôn. Theo chủ ý của y, Dương Hổ quân ngày đêm không ngừng tấn công thành, trong đó có thể tấn công ban đêm là mạnh nhất. Vì ban đêm tướng thủ trên đầu thành không thể nhìn rõ cụ thể bố trí và hướng di chuyển của bài kỵ quân bên dưới. Như thế thì không thể dự đoán trước được bước tiến của địch và chuẩn bị phòng thủ. Cách làm này còn thật làm khổ binh lính thủ thành. Thế công ngoài thành lúc mạnh lúc yếu, ngày đêm không ngừng. Đặc biệt là ban đêm không thể nhìn rõ quân số của đối phương. 4 cửa thành nơi nào đánh thật, nơi nào đánh giả, quả thật không cách nào biết trước. Chỉ đành ngày đêm phòng thủ căng thẳng, cho nên bây giờ binh lính đều đã rất mệt mỏi. Tính nhân hại của Dương Hổ cũng sắp hết rồi. Y vốn định dùng Thái An làm mồi câu, dù lính thủ thành Tế Nam ra thành quyết chiến, nên thế công cũng không phải là vô cùng mãnh liệt. Không ngờ quân của Tế Nam luôn luôn an ninh bất động. Mấy mươi thuyền lương thực mà y cướp ở sông Quần Hà, người ăn vừa ăn không thể tiết kiệm, bây giờ đã không còn bao nhiêu. Nếu không công hạ thành Thái An, toàn quân sẽ phải đối diện với tình cảnh thiếu lương thực. Vì vậy 2 hôm nay, Dương Hổ đã từ bỏ kế hoạch vây thành đánh viện binh và được công kích thành Thái An. Nhất định phải hạ được nó, dùng kho lương trong thành bổ sung lương thực, dùng của cải mỹ nữ trong thành cổ vũ sĩ khí ngày một suy yếu của toàn quân. Dương Hổ có 4 khẩu pháo lớn. Nhờ sức trâu, sức ngựa kéo từ huyện thành quan đó đến, nguyên quan quân của vệ sở mới lần đầu quân cũng không biết dùng pháo. Y chỉ biết rằng khi sử dụng đại pháo phải cố định thiết tiêu, đặt chống sắt và tường đất sau xe. Còn về độ nâng của miệng pháo, mục tiêu, cự ly, vân vân, toàn bộ đều không biết. Nhưng một tòa thành lớn thế này ở trước mặt, mỗi một đợt pháo thế nào cũng trúng tường thành hoặc bắn trong thành là được. Bên kia cổng thành, lính Thái An sử dụng tầng lớp thạch cao đắp thành bức tường phòng ngự đại pháo của Dương Hổ. Tường thành bị đạn pháo làm cho loang đổ, nhưng khi trời vừa chớm sáng, đại pháo của Dương Hổ phụt tắt. Hỏa dược của họ còn mấy thùng lớn, nhưng đạn sắt thì đã dùng hết. Tiên phong Dương Hổ không hề để ý, vẫn múa may cây cờ hiệu trong tay, ra hiệu cho thuộc hạ toàn lực công thành bất kể thương vong. Pháo trên tường thành phát ra một tiếng nổ kinh thiên động địa, miệng phun khói đen, lựu đạn tấn công mãnh liệt trấn áp sự tiến công của quân Dương Hổ. Máy bắn đá, cầu hào, thang leo tường không ngừng tập kết ở những góc chết của đại pháo. Các tảng đá, cầu lửa, cầu khói độc không ngừng được bắn lên trên tường thành. Từng mạng người không ngừng bị chôn vùi trên chiến trường, mà không ai ngoái lại nhìn một cái. Trong đều đớn trung tâm quân ngũ, Dương Hổ cau mày đi lại một cách sốt ruột. Những tướng lĩnh thân tín như là Mộc Vân, Đậu Hù Lan im lặng đứng một bên. Dương Hổ đột nhiên ngừng bước nói với giọng căm hận: chỉ một thành Thái An thôi mà lâu thế này vẫn chưa hạ được. Bây giờ đạn pháo thì dùng hết sạch. Đại quân của Lưu Lực bị Dương Lăng chặn ngoài thành Đức Châu, không thể tiến bước. Và nghiêm trọng nhất chính là lương thảo lại sắp dục hết. Chẳng lẽ ta không thể không từ bỏ Thái An? Không cam tâm, ta không cam tâm. Đậu Hù Lang đảo mắt một cái rồi nói: đại ca, hay là để dẫn một toán quân đến các phủ huyện lân cận tìm kiếm thêm một lần nữa. Lương thực tìm thấy được thế nào cũng có thể để cho đại quân duy trì thêm 10 ngày. Bây giờ quân ta, cả người lẫn ngựa đều mệt mỏi, nhưng binh lính trong thành Tây An chỉ sợ còn gian khổ hơn. Để không tin chúng có thể cầm cự thêm 10 ngày. Còn Mộc Vân thì nói, đại ca, theo đệ thấy chỉ bằng chúng ta đưa quân xuống phía Nam. Phía Nam lương thảo sung túc đủ để cung ứng cho nhu cầu của quân ta. Nếu ta chiếm được Nam Kinh, đưa một tông thân hoàng thất họ Chu lên làm con rối, tệ lắm thì cũng có thể lấy sông làm biên giới, chia đất cai trị với Kinh Sư. Đậu Hủ Lanh cười lạnh, tên nọ Mộc kia, hình như những lời lẽ như là chiếm trọn đất Sơn Đông, liên kết ba nơi Sơn Đông, Hà Nam, Sơn Tây làm thòng lọng, siết chặt lấy nơi yết hầu của Kinh Sư là chủ ý của ngươi đúng không? Bây giờ thắng bại chưa phân, ngươi lại lên tiếng đòi đến Giang Nam rồi. Mộc Vân mỉm cười nói, hành quân đánh trận yêu cầu phải biết tùy cơ ứng biến. Kế hoạch ban đầu của chúng ta là chiếm đoạt toàn đất Sơn Đông, sau đó tiến quân ra Bắc chiếm Kinh Sư, chém về đứng đầu. Nhưng không ngờ triều đình phản ứng nhanh như vậy. Quân đội của họ không còn theo sau chúng ta dốc sức tiêu trừ, mà là chia ra trấn thủ, ỷ thế thành trì mà đối kháng quân ta. Thế mạnh của chúng ta là dã chiến, bây giờ chỉ còn cách bàn con đường khác. Đậu Hủ Lang rè biểu khịt mũi bất mãn nói, một tên xuất thân thợ săn như người, còn tưởng mình là Gia Cát Lượng, cùng lắm chỉ là con cáo già. Nếu sớm chiếm được Thái An thì hết chuyện rồi. Không phải ngươi nói cái gì vây mà không đánh, vây rồi giả đánh, dụ quân tế Nam ra thành. Bây giờ Thái An đã sớm bị công hạ rồi. Được rồi, đừng có cãi nữa. Dương Hổ phiền não vung tay, nhìn ra ngoài đều, sắc trời đã sắp tỏ. Dương Hổ thở dài, lệnh cho nhân mã của Dịch Thần Phong, Lý Dạ lập tức phối hợp với Hàn Bách toàn lực công thành. Chúng ta đánh đến lúc trời sáng hoàn toàn, nếu vẫn chưa công hạ Tây An, sau khi Mai Hoa tạo phản rồi thì rút quân ngay, thẳng tiến xuống phía Nam. Vâng. Thấy Dương Hổ đã có quyết định, các tướng lĩnh trong lều đều cùng ôm quyền nhận lời. Dương Hổ đi đến cửa lều, nhìn tường thành ở phía xa không ngừng bốc lửa và từng đợt âm thanh chém giết, trong lòng thầm kêu gào. Là thành hay bại, tất cả đều phụ thuộc vào trận chiến sáng mai. Là thành hay bại, tất cả đều phụ thuộc vào trận chiến sáng mai. Bá Nhàn Mãnh Khả vùng roi gấp rút, không những mồ hôi nhễ nhại đầy người,